All right, welcome to video 2 of lesson 6, module 6, grade 5, of course. And we were talking about the lines on this grid. And let's talk about which lines on the graph are parallel. Which ones are parallel? Talking about parallel again. L and N are parallel, right? L and M should make it a cursive M. And M and L are parallel to the y-axis, right? So we have the y-axis, we have M and L. And then parallel to the x-axis, we have N. Yes? How about perpendicular? Forming a right angle. M and N are forming a right angle. So they would have this, right, sign. This is the sign for parallel. And L and N as well. And then, of course, L and M are both perpendicular to the x-axis, and N is perpendicular to the y-axis. All right? What is the y-coordinate on every point of line N? Line N, what is the y-coordinate? 2, right? Every point on that line has the y-coordinate of 2. What is the x-coordinate of every point on line M? The x-coordinate of every point would be 8, right? Okay, very good. Now let's look at the ordered pair for B, 8, 7, and the ordered pair for C, 8, 4. Which point is closer to the x-axis? Just thinking about this. All right, sometimes we try to think about it separate from the graph, right? Okay, so do you see that point C would be closer to the x-axis because the vertical distance from the x-axis to point B is 7 units, and the vertical distance for the x-axis would be 4. Now don't get confused because this is the y point, right? But looking back at our graph, we see that our y point, right, our y coordinate rather, means that it's closer to the x-axis. All right, so we have to think about that a little bit. Our y coordinate tells us how close it is to our x-axis. Does that make sense? Okay, good. And let's look at J, which isn't on our graph yet, which is 3, 5, and K, which is 8, 5. Which point is farther from the y-axis? Just by looking at the ordered pair, which one is farther from the y-axis? Hopefully you're saying 8, K, because it is 8 away from the x-axis, right? So J would be 3, 5, 3, 5 would be J, and K would be 8, 5, 8, 5 is K. So we're talking about how far away it is from the y-axis. So you can see that K is 8, so it's 8 away from the y-axis. All right? Practice is going to make it a little bit easier. Okay? Let's look at the same, looking at the L and the M. We can determine the distance between line L and the y-axis because line L is parallel to the y-axis, right? Okay. How do we determine the distance between line L and the y-axis? Because it's 2, right? Our x-coordinate is 2, so it's 2 away from the y-axis. So any point on L is going to be 2 away, right? The shortest line segment from any point on L to the y-axis would be its length. So any line that you're going to draw would be 2 away. Okay? Awesome. What is the distance between line L and the y-axis? 2 units, we said. Let's put a 2 there. What is the distance between point M and the y-axis? And how do you know? Same thing. Let's draw a line from any point on the y-axis over to M. And we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? We knew it was already 8, but we can just count it and make sure that we know it's 8 units. Every point on M is going to be 8 units away from the y-axis. Is every point on line L closer to the y-axis than every point on line M? Well, yes, it's 6 closer. Okay? Because lines M and L are parallel and vertical, we can determine the distance between them. What is the distance between M and L? Yep, like we just said, it is 6 units. All right, very good. Let's talk about regions on a coordinate plane. And now I think we're ready for line L. Okay. What do we know about the x-coordinate of every point to the left of line L? So every point over here between line L and the y-axis, we know that it's going to be less than 2, right? Because our line L is at 2, so all of these points are going to be less than 2. What do we know about the x-coordinate for every point to the right of line L? We know that's going to be greater than 2. All right? Okay. Let's, looking at number 2 in your magnifying glass part of your book, use red to color the region of the plane in which all x-coordinates are less than 2. Okay, so if you have a red marker or a red colored pencil would really be best, but I don't have any red colored pencils right now, so I'm just going to use a marker, and I'm going to color this whole section to the left of L. I'm going to color red because any point in that section is going to be less than 2. All right, so let's think about 1 1/2, 5 3/4. 1 1/2, 5 3/4. Is it located in the red region of this graph? Can we know without plotting the point? 1 1/2 is our x, so we know that 1 1/2 would be less than 2. So it would be in this red area, right? The graph only shows the values to a little above the 12, right? Is the point 130 in the red portion of the graph? Yes, because 1 is less than 2, and we know that our graph is going to go on forever, so any number above there would still be included in the red section. Okay, that's something interesting to think about, right? Okay, so in number 2, it says line M is a vertical line that intersects the x-axis at point 8, 0. Draw and label line M on your graph. 8, 0. Can you do that? 8, 0. It's going to intersect, so we're going to draw line M right here. And we're going to label it with an M. Okay. Use blue to shade the region of the plane where points are more than 8 units. All right, so we're going to shade blue more than 8 units, so it's going to be everything to the right of our line M. And I'm just going to go that far, but you know it's going to be going on forever, right, to the right of line M. Did you color yours in? All right. Identify the coordinates of a point that is in the blue region but that we can't see on our coordinate plane. Got an idea? I'm thinking about 13, 20. 13, 20 would be about here, right? 13, 20. Okay, 20 probably further up there. Okay, but it would be in the blue region because we know that our blue region goes on forever. All right, we are going to have to do 3 videos for this lesson. There's a lot to do. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks for your hard work. Aloha.